Welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show. Today is the first session for what we're calling Wide Jumping series. Years ago we did higher jumping and many jumping, and we said we're gonna try to work up to oxers or wide jumping. But there's a lot to learn for that, and luckily Sarah, who works with me, has a lot of jumping experience, and also luckily we have YouTube. And Sarah found two wonderful links about gymnastics exercises for jumping, especially oxer jumping, and had some suggestions how to set up your equipment to help a horse learn how to jump. And it's very complicated. Sarah and I had to watch the videos together again this morning, and we took notes on little yellow slippies. So we have the notes. We'll address the issues, how far apart for everything, and what is it that we're actually trying to help the horse do with each type of jump and each distance between the jumps. Notice that there are no oxers yet. Oxers are like two jumps together. And to do an oxer, the horse has to realize they got to keep their back feet up a little bit longer. And to do a bounce between jumps rather than strides between jumps, you have to have the jumps set up at the right distance for a trot or canter bounce. And all of this is unfamiliar to me, just kind of want to learn about it, don't have a lot of experience. Sarah is better at it, so what we're going to do is interview her right now to tell us what she's been doing with Eve. She did work in my arena before I came out, but for the distance that we need to set up all these jumps, it's better to come out on our track, which is my driveway covered with sand. This is what we call our north-south track. So I'm going to get my camera closer to Sarah. She's going to kind of off the top of her head tell you what she's been doing and what she thinks we need to do next.
Okay, so I set up 3 trot poles in front of this first bounce, and they're one huge human step in between each of them. And the video had 4. We didn't have enough poles, so this is just to set her up that she's coming in a nice trot with a big enough stride. And then we're gonna go to a bounce, and I have 2 cross rails set up, and they're about maybe a foot in the middle. And this is just gonna set her up to really pay attention to what she's jumping and pick up her feet. You can make them higher. We're gonna start low today because Eve hasn't jumped that much. And then I did 3 big steps in between the bounce. So we're gonna come in at a trot, and she's gonna jump over both of those, and hopefully she'll hit a canter over the second fence, and we have a 1 stride to a vertical. And I did 9 huge human steps, so it should be roughly 18 feet. And that's about a 2-foot vertical, which she should be fine clearing.
Are you sure you want that rail down there that high?
Yeah.
You think she can do it? All right.
Because we just jumped the cavalettis in there, and it's about the same height.
Okay, we had some cavaletti set up in the arena on the highest rung, and she jumped just fine before I came out with my camera. Okay, and my notes here, we'll review if we need it, some of the facts that we got from the YouTube video that was produced by Evention, E-V-E-N-T-I-O-N. And then there was another 1.5-minute YouTube video that was all about oxer gymnastics.
Yes, and there was a trot one and a canter.
A trot one and a canter.
So.
Now, one more thing before we let Sarah see what she can do with Eve here on this north-south track is notice that Eve is saddled up in Sarah's English saddle, which is a jumping saddle, but instead of using our double reins, because Eve is the kind of horse when she gets stressed, she'll throw up her head, and we need to keep her collected. Sarah put on a martingale.
Yeah, it's a running one versus standing.
A running one versus standing. Can you explain, just for educational reasons, the difference?
So a standing martingale would attach to a noseband if she had a noseband, and it would be about here, and you should be able to hold it in, and it would be about as long as her neck, and it would just keep her from raising her head without getting in contact with the reins or the bit. A running martingale hooks onto the reins and it slides, and it should be at the point where if I'm holding the reins normally and her head isn't raised, it won't come into action. But if she raises her head higher than these, it's going to pull down on the reins, and it's just going to ask her to lower her head. So it's going to keep her from lifting her head up to, you know, bash me in the face if anything goes wrong, or to evade contact with the bit. And,
do you think that the running martingale was doing its job in the arena when you were jumping over the cavalettis?
Yes, I do. She's going to naturally have a higher headset than when we do cow work, because she has to kind of sit back to look at the jumps. And I want her to just move out naturally. I don't want to like pull her back just to get the correct headset. So I'm fine with her head being a little bit higher. But if she's really trying to raise her head and avoid my contact, then obviously that's bad. So that's why I like the running martingale.
And you just have a regular O-ring snaffle.
Yes.
And the Oxer Gymnastics, the short video, made a point of the fact that what exercises he was suggesting would help to strengthen the hips of the horse.
Yes, the bounce helps. And that really gets them to rock back and think about what they're jumping.
And since Eve has done a lot of cow work and simulated cow work,
she should be good.
I'm guessing that she's going to be real strong in her hips and very willing to rock back.
She's a little loose with her front feet. She doesn't pick them up as high as she should, and so bounces do help with that, because it'll get her attention before we come to a slightly bigger vertical, so she'll pick her feet up more.
Okay, and I've been having a lot of subscribers to Urban Cowgirl channel, but I've been kind of slow at producing new videos in the last few weeks because it's springtime and we've had so much ranch work to do to keep our green pastures green and our irrigation working. But I think we're back on track now. This is going to be a series, a wide jumping series, and Sarah will do most of it. And you know what? I have this fantasy that I'm going to be able to do some of it in my side saddle. And so keep in tune with our series to see if Sonia Sokolow, the Urban Cowgirl, gets up on her side saddle to do some, if not all, of these jumping exercises. Okay, Sarah, now I'm just going to video you as best you can, and then maybe, best I can, then maybe we'll have a postscript if there's something to say that Sarah hasn't already said. Now, she's going around my manure bin and chicken pen. It's a nice circle track covered with sand, and here she comes. Now Eve should look. Wow. Now the easy part, stepping over these rails, she tipped the third closest rail to us, the black one, but the jumps were beautiful. I'm extremely impressed. Of course, I couldn't have done that, I don't think. I'm just not experienced enough in jumping yet, although I've tried over these years to get a little bit of experience. Boy, is Sarah going to take them on the way back? Or I think the idea is to do it in only that one direction because of the increasing difficulty of the jumping. Now, to me, that was extremely impressive. The only thing she touched was that black rail, and she was rushing, huh?
She rushed through that. She's probably just a little nervous, but she...
Oh, sure.
And I mean, in the past, she's had problems cantering and not being balancing with herself, so maybe we could raise it a little bit to make her pay attention more.
I would love to see you do it again.
Okay.
If you feel safe. I was scared for you because I didn't know if she'd refuse anything. That last higher jump, you're right, she did that beautifully. By then, did you feel she was rushing by then, or was she paying attention?
Yeah, she started rushing right away.
Okay.
I mean, she rushed the bounce, and then she picked up her canter stride. It's pretty big.
Yeah, okay.
So, and we could mention the guy that did the video rode a warm blood, which is probably a lot bigger than her. She's only 15 hands. She's a smaller horse.
Yeah.
So that could be too big of a stride.
Oh, I see. Yeah, and he did say it depends on the size of the horse, whether it's a pony or a draft horse or what. And am I right to assume that you don't want to come back the other direction because you're doing it in a certain order here?
We don't want to do it for this certain gymnastics, but one of the other ones that we watched online, you could go both ways. Because they had the oxer right in the middle instead of on the end.
Okay, all right. Okay, come on around again. And if she does well, I'd say let's keep this lesson short since you already warmed her up anyway in the arena. So we're waiting for Sarah to come around. Let me get the camera in good position so we can get every single movement. Better. Okay, boy, those hoos were hitting the ground hard. Maybe that's because she was rushing. We'll see what Sarah says when she comes back, but you know what? Not one rail down, not one ground rail tripped or tipped. And here comes Eve back at a trot. I feel like we took more than just a baby step today. But let's see what Sarah has to say, because she's up there, she's feeling it, she has the experience. Not one mistake that I could see, but except the loud hoof sounds like she was rushing, right?
Right, she is. She was a little tense coming in, and I was really having to hold her back. And I think she's not doing the bounce right. I think she's taking an extra step, but I can't see. But it feels like something's not...
Between these two crossbar jumps?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And you think maybe it's because they're a little bit too far away from each other?
Yeah, I think I would adjust it a little bit closer for both. But, I mean, she's clearing everything, and that's the goal. And so she's definitely picking up her feet. And that's the most important thing. We can work on rushing later.
Yeah, okay. So, I feel it's your call, but I feel that she deserves to have a short lesson today.
That's good for you.
Yeah, it's great, because sometimes when they tip those rails or knock things over, they get afraid of them. They become obstacles rather than jumps. So,
right.
And she's done so well today, and she doesn't seem afraid of them at all. The tack looks good. Her demeanor looks good. And I think she wants to go turn out with her herd mates. And thank you very much, Sarah. This is the beginning of maybe a long series, maybe a short series, but we're going to do it with our other Morgans too. But we chose Eve at first, and now you've seen her first session at wide jumping. Well, it's our next jumping session. We're going to go wider eventually. Sarah is on Sadie. That's Eve's daughter, and Sadie is a great trail horse, but when it comes to jumping, she's rather lethargic. So Sarah's going to tell us what she's done tack-wise and jump setup-wise right here in our arena today. And by the way, we did look on the video and we saw that Eve took 2 steps between...
Yeah, she took a stride in between the bounce.
Yeah, which she shouldn't have done, and Sarah wasn't sure because she couldn't feel it, but the video confirmed it. So when we bring Eve back out to the driveway, we're going to work on maybe putting those 2 jumps a little closer.
Yeah.
Right, okay. All right, so Sarah, tell us what you're doing with Sadie, and then we'll watch you do it.
Okay, I have 3 trot poles set up, and I have 2 cavalettis instead of just a regular trot pole, and they're slightly raised off the ground, and I'm hoping that'll help her pick her feet up a little bit more and to pay attention. And then I have a small cross rail set up in the middle and a small vertical right here. And so I'm just going to warm her up trotting around for a couple of minutes, take her over the cross rails the trot poles several times, and do a couple circles, and then I'll take her over the cross rail, and then I'll take her over the vertical finally. Okay,
and then we'll have a postscript, and you tell us how she felt and whether or not she was, responding. And we do have on her front, between her ankle and her knee, some boots, because Sarah was worried that Sadie is so lethargic that she might hurt herself. So we put a little extra padding there, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. We'll follow you as best we can from outside the arena here. Remember, Sarah has a lot of jumping experience. I have almost none. I'm Sonia Sokol, the urban cowgirl. I have a lot of cow work experience and trail experience. I used to be in the Volunteer Horse Patrol in San Mateo County. Okay, her head's kind of up. You're trying to get it down?
Yeah.
First, we got to get frame. We got to get focus.
There we go.
She's swishing her tail a little bit. I think that's just attitude because she's not showing any lameness or tenderness. By the way, Semi is almost healed from her sudden abscess. Just a little bit tender at the back of the heel where my vet opened up where she thought the abscess was. Seems to be a little bit tender, but we don't even have the boots on anymore. Semi is back to barefoot, but we're not ready to ride her until we're sure she's 100% sound after that sudden abscess. A lot of warming up, focus gathering, get the frame. A lot of communication necessary here before you ask them to jump, because they got to pay attention to what they're jumping, how high, how wide. They got to know where their feet are. They got to understand that if it's an oxer, a wide pair of jumps, they better keep those feet up in the air a little longer. And then someday I might do this inside saddle. She was supposed to trot, and what'd she do, canter?
She kind of jumped over the first.
Kind of jumped. Well, you know, in the past, years past, when I did try to jump with Sadie, I could barely get her to jump. She always walked over everything. Okay, but she sure isn't paying attention to where her feet are. That'll come with practice, right, Sarah?
Yes.
Okay. They don't like to tip these jumps or these ground poles. They kind of perceive them sometimes as predators rather than as just objects that are not alive. Now this thread in the second half of 2013 is, can we jump wider? I don't really care about high. I don't care about 4 and 5 feet, but I do want them to know where their feet are and keep them out of the way of whatever they're jumping out there on the ranch or on the trail. That was better.
Yes.
When we're confident with Sadie here in the arena, we'll probably set up the jumps on the driveway where we worked with Eve last time. But it's a little bit easier to work in an enclosed, medium-sized arena like this.
That's exactly what we were looking for.
What was that?
A nice, good trot over those trot.
Okay, nice, good trot. Okay. Thank you for that information. Keep telling us when you're feeling up there in the saddle that Sadie is doing it right, giving you the right answer. Whoa! She sure saw that crossbar jump. She's getting praise. Very nice, I think. Now that's a crossbar jump, so it's lower in the middle, higher on the edges. This one is straight across. Not as visually obvious, but probably just as high. Nice. Now when we do oxers, we'll put a couple of these jumps together so that they can't step down in the middle. They must keep their feet up long enough to get over them. And that's what I call jumping wide. Here it goes, first time. She kind of stepped over it and then picked up her back legs. Do you prefer that she jumps over it?
Correct.
Correct, says Sarah. Okay. And if she does give you the right answer, let's keep the lesson short. It's been a long time since Sadie has done some jumping. There you go. I think she did it, didn't she?
Yes.
Yes, she did. Okay. Now we could try to go the other direction, but I'm kind of thinking, let's not today. Are you okay on that, Sarah?
That was a good start.
Yeah, okay. Come on over. Tell us in your own words how it felt to be up there on Sadie. She didn't look real lethargic. She's just inexperienced, I think.
Right. No, she was doing a lot better than when I've done it with her last year.
Okay.
She was definitely picking her feet up. She wasn't like Eve where she's trailing her feet or anything. I mean, I didn't even hear her hitting the bars at all.
No, she didn't.
So that's very good. I didn't put the cavallos on for that reason because I wanted her to pay attention to the jumps and not be clumsy.
Yeah.
And I think she was good and paying attention, and it took her a couple times over the trot rails. But that's when I decided to jump her, was when she finally went through them with a good trot stride and picking up her feet.
Okay, we'll go the other direction next time. We may not put it on camera unless there's something new to show.
Okay.
Okay? That's great. Thank you very much, Sarah. And thank you very much, Shadrach, Sun and Shine, Sadie. A short session with Semi. Sarah is going to see how Semi is feeling about going over white vinyl jumps and over the wooden cavalettis. 4 years ago, we did some jumping with all three Morgans, high and wide, using the cavalettis. Today, we've also included some white vinyl fences that Semi has a resistance to from a bad experience she had many years ago. Okay, let's go. This is all about jumping. Aha, a refusal, right?
Yep.
That was a refusal. Okay, so Sarah will probably apply some pressure. Yeah.
We weren't supposed to jump over that, but...
She wasn't supposed to jump over what?
The top poles.
Let's see if she... Good, Sarah's holding her in now. Good, so that she looks where her feet are. She has to take responsibility for that, especially with oxers. She's got to keep those back legs up long enough to get over the oxer, and we'll go wider within parameters of safety. Let's see how she does with the white vinyl. If you go back to 2009 videos, you'll see how we dealt with Semi's concern about white vinyl. That happened when a pole fell off the jump, whoa, and then followed her down the driveway, and then she bucked, and then the rider fell off, so all of that was a really bad experience. Wow. Why don't you, boy, she looks very sprite, almost too sprite. Yeah, boy, I couldn't do that. I'm Sonia Sokolow, the urban cowgirl. I can do the cow work any way, shape, or form, but those jumps are real challenging. Good. She's not showing resistance at all. She is showing a bit of rushing though.
Yes.
Yeah, says Sarah. So, okay, the rushing is a form of resistance. Now she looks nicely collected. Does she feel nicely collected and calm and stress-free? Let's see. Okay, she touched the pole, but it didn't fall off. It's a piece of PVC, and now, good, good. Oh, that was better. Still rushing, still a little bulgy-eyed, but I feel like we can give Semi like a B grade, and repetition, repetition, repetition to get her to accept our requests without stress. Were there any surprises today?
She doesn't even want to walk next to it, right?
Yeah, she doesn't even want to walk next to it. Yeah. Good, good. Good. Not good that she's stressed, but good that you're giving her the opportunity
So yeah, this is a big problem.
Yeah.
I'll be able to stand next to it. There's no issues.
Big problem that she's still scared of those white vinyl jumps. That's why she was rushing. Good. You know, they're really just an obstacle right now. Let her, oh, see, yeah, she's swishing her tail. She's running into the barrel. By the way, we're going to do some oxers with barrels. Yeah, don't jump it. Just let her.
I'm not.
Yeah, she's not planning on jumping it. But we definitely have to change Semi's attitude. We can't stop on that note. Good. How about backing away and coming over here rather than getting closer? You willing to do that?
Yeah.
Good, good. Semi's usually good at backing. She's good at working over her haunches. She's great at cow work. But to be versatile here, she's got to do everything we ask of her. And sometimes we have to convince each individual horsenality that we're asking something reasonable and we want their willingness.
Good girl.
Good girl.
Back.
Good. A lot of backing, backing to get focus, to get the right answer. Horses don't generally go backwards, you see. So they're doing it because you've asked them to. Good. Okay, any words of wisdom about what to do next?
I mean, I think she just needs to get over it. At this point,
Yeah.
there's been enough babying around her. I mean, I think she needs to be pushed through it.
Yeah,
Because at this point, it's
push through it.
almost like a phobia in her head. It's
It is.
not dangerous.
Right.
It's not scary. She's just rushing over it and she's getting away with it.
Uh-huh.
I think for a certain point it was okay to like let her be scared of it and take it easy on her, but now I think it's silly because it's become such an issue.
Do you feel capable to work her through it? Off camera?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that just has to be done at least every week, if not more.
Yeah.
And I mean, on foot is good too, but it's obviously a problem in the saddle. That's what I was trying to do, come closer to her. I don't know if you jumped across there the last time, but if we give her like a long straightaway,
Yeah.
she'll just speed up and come closer.
Yeah.
And if we can turn sharper and come to it, it gives her less time to be able to rush.
I saw you do that. Yeah, so you were doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, good approach.
But she's still rushing it, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's good
Still
that these
rushing.
are little. She can't hurt herself rushing over these. Maybe if it was a little higher, it would keep her from rushing it. I mean, that's what bounces are for in the gymnastics,
Uh-huh.
to make them really pay attention.
Okay. See more at www.urbancowgirlchannel.com.